everybody. Happy 445. It was 444 when I started this video, but my earring fell out of my ear, so I had to stop and pick it up. Welcome to the Mom Series, The Misunderstanding of Multiplicity. So today I am making Trisha Yearwood's wonderful macaroni and cheese crock-pot style. So I'll give you the recipe really quick. I'm coming up on 3 minutes and 32 seconds till I can hit warm and just keep it warm. So in here I have half a box of 1 pound, like 8 ounces of elbow macaroni and cheese. So I have a box. Looking good. And I went with the manual setting for this one. You can schedule a meal, but it calls for 3 hours and 15 minutes exactly on low. And I made the mistake today. I walked away and kept it on high. The first hour, don't do that. So I had to start a little bit over. Take some out, start a little over. But you just cook up your pasta in a pan. There's just a little bit of prep. You just cook up your pasta toast just like al dente. And then you butter or spray your crock pot. Pop your pasta in there. And you need 1 can of whole evaporated milk, 12 ounces. Shake it up really good. Pour that over your cooled off noodles. And then whisk up 2 egg yolks. Trisha Yearwood uses the whole egg. Some people use just the yolks to stop the curdling that happens with a custard kind of macaroni and cheese. So it's up to you. If you want the whole egg, and if not, just the yolks. Then you take a half of a stick of butter, 1/4 of a cup, and just microwave it for 30 seconds, and maybe 15 more seconds, and melt it. Pour that over. And then you add a 1.5 cups of, I use 2% milk. So I did a 1.5 cups of milk, 12-ounce can of evaporated milk, little salt and pepper. I did a little nutmeg. You don't have to. And paprika at the end. The recipe calls for 6.5 cups of cheese. I used 4 cups of cheese. And you just mix it all together. Cheddar. If you're gonna make this recipe, don't use it with an extra sharp cheddar because it will curdle down with an extra cheddar. So you just gotta make sure. Let me get this because I got a shadow in here. Let me do it this way. So you can see the color it really is. There we go. That's the color it really is. So I just used sharp cheddar and Colby Jack and a little bit of mild cheddar. I just mixed my cheeses. And a little salt and pepper. I got a little bit too much pepper in one spot here. And here's what happened when I had it on high. It got burnt on the side, but you know what? I'm gonna love that, so I don't really care. It's gonna be fine. Just on one side. And taste. It's so good. It's like that old-fashioned southern macaroni and cheese that's just custardy good. Just let it go 3 hours and 15 minutes on low, not high. And then over here I just have some green beans, some fresh mixed with some frozen, the slim ones, with 2 russet potatoes. I'm just going to make a warm potato salad. And I know this looks like a lot of carbs. And that's what I cook on Monday. I do batch cooking of carbs. And I want to talk today really quickly about the importance of journaling and how I have found it so useful in my life. And keeping calendars, especially if you've been diagnosed with DID or MPD. Keeping calendars and keeping a daily structured record of everything you do will be paramount to staying on the same page and going in the right direction to wellness. More than that, if you should find yourself suddenly gaining weight, and maybe you lost 60 or 80 pounds like I did. In 2007, I lost 80 pounds. And I didn't lose it in 2007, really. I started losing it in 2006 to 2007, but I didn't know it. But if I look back at my journals, I started writing Dear God letters for everything. I was living across the way there at that apartment, right across the courtyard. And it wasn't a huge move, but I knew I needed to get into a better building situation. The composition of the building at that time, what was going on with those owners, not these owners, was not healthy. So I transferred. And at the same time, I decided to step down off all the medications that I had been on for 30 years, including Darvocet M100s, Transine, Soma, Cariosopropital, and fentanyl patches. By the time I had moved in 2009, that weekend I was tapering off of everything. And so I naturally started losing weight because if you guys don't know, there's a lot of sodium in your medication. In everything that has Tylenol, there's 427 milligrams of sodium in your Tylenol. In one little Tylenol tablet, there's 427 milligrams of sodium. I believe in aspirin it's like 250 something, and in use your scratching post, buddy. I think there's like 358. Look it up. There's sodium in your medicine cabinet. And just by stopping the medication, and I mean, I stepped down. So I was like on 6 to 8 Transine. Now I'm on 1 1/4. I was on 6 to 8 Soma. Now I'm on 1 as needed. So I do get really bad muscle spasms. I do have brain consistent changes that go on with MS. So it is something that when I get what's called contractures, or what they call the lovely MS hug, it's the only thing that works, but I'll only take 1. I no longer take anything that's a narcotic, and all of those medications were bloating me. But I had started writing to God. Dear God, I don't want to be on these medicines. They make me feel really not good. I'm chasing my tail in pain. I've done videos about this, how to get off opiates safely with your doctor's help tapering you off. And I don't know what it was other than the Holy Spirit. I just kept bothering my doctor. I was like, I'm in so much pain, but I'm not comfortable being on pain medicine. And that was just the Holy Spirit, I really believe, letting me know that nobody was going to get a warning. They were just going to have their meds taken away from them, right? So my body was in tremendous pain. And she gave me a tapering off schedule for the fentanyl patches, and then the Darvocet M100, and also the Soma, and also the Transine. But she wanted me to start 1 at a time. But I started all of them at once, tapering down in 1 weekend, Labor Day weekend. And I figured I'm busy, I'm packing, I'm organizing, and that's what I did. And I thank God I did. And because within 2 years, they were talking about they took Darvocet right off the, I remember being down to 1 Darvocet for when I had extreme pain. And it was Darvocet M100s. And I remember just going to the drugstore to get my refill, and they were like, didn't your doctor call you and tell you there is no Darvocet M100? It's been recalled, it's been taken away, it's bad. It's like, no. And I went to my doctor, and she had 50 million, I swear to God, 50 million people were in there like, oh my God, my medicine, I can't get this, I can't get that, I can't get nothing. and everybody was tweaking out. And she was transferring people onto different medications that were like that, and pain clinic and everything else. And I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I just stopped taking it. It was just like, okay. And she offered me, like, I believe it was like, oh gosh, it was like an arthritis medication. It was a pretty popular one too. Quite a few things she offered me, and I said no. No. Can I get addicted to them? Then no, I don't want them. No, I don't want to do this. But looking back at my journals, I had been writing to God every day, God help me to get off these medications. God help me to rip this patch off of me and never need it again. I had also been writing, God help me to lose weight. I mean, really lose weight. Like, I want to lose 60 to 80 pounds. And at first I started losing weight because I was sick. I couldn't tolerate any food. I looked back at my Bibles, where you write in the back of your Bible, like all my journals, all my calendars, every day. God help me to stop doing sodium. God help me to stop having so much coffee. God, thank you for helping me to not do sugar. And it was like, I really just, instead of making a list of foods that were no good, I just started taking condiments away. Like, God help me not to buy Parmesan cheese every week. God help me not to put a ton of salad dressing on my very healthy salad that now is not healthy. God help me not to throw a bunch of ketchup on my food. I mean, so I just stopped buying condiments. And then it was, God help me to know that this is how big my stomach is. This is how big. And when I eat, this is how big it is. And I have to choose carefully. And looking back at my journals, everything I asked God about, everything I wrote in my journals, like I would like to lose 60 to 80 pounds, happened. But then I didn't write down what I was doing. Not daily. So recently I went back in the last couple weeks and thought, what was I eating? And I did keep a little tally of what I was eating every day. And at one point in the journal I wrote down, who would have thought adding cheese to my diet, and milk and macaroni and cheese and calcium and actually potatoes and pasta and green beans and making stews and soups would be healthy? Who would have thought that? But I started eating a lot of real food, and more food than I had ever eaten. Well, during that time I went on a lot of fasts. I went on, I'll show you some of the things I ate, which are just incredible. And I still do it every now and again. These are matzo crackers. I used to take one matzo cracker a day and cut it into 4, and sometimes 6. And they're unsalted, and they just became delicious to me. And I would put like a teaspoon of peanut butter on a matzo cracker, or a teaspoon of apple jelly on a. That's it. For a whole year, I ate a matzo cracker a day, and raisins and apples. 1 year. And I've looked at some of the crazy diets I've been on. I started eating meat, which I had never really eaten that much of, but not too much. I just started making a lot of chicken soups and stews. And I swear, I just stopped with the salt, and I stopped with the crazy Parmesan cheese on everything. I stopped. I started putting oil and vinegar in everything, and lemon juice. I started cooking with natural things like lime and lemon and spices instead of salt. Well, this is perfect, but I gotta check a potato. Don't know yet. I don't know. Come here, Mr. Potato. I'm gonna let that go a little longer. And so I'll put some red onion in that after I drain it. Make a warm potato salad. Some of it will have red onion, potato and green bean, and a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and red wine vinegar. You can't go wrong. Now, the way I used to eat it was with Parmesan cheese on top of it, but like a ton of Parmesan cheese. Not doing that. So I'm back on the healthy meal plan, and I'm going back to eating real food. And I won't eat that every day. Some of it will be freezer food, and I won't eat that every day. I'll just do what I used to call, it's so funny, I have in my journal, go back on the simple, same, switch it up day diet. And that had come from Richard Simmons' Deal a Meal, who really, I believe, was the first person to do Noom. You know how you've heard this? I don't know if you've heard about the meal plan Noom, which is excellent. But basically, all of your food groups are in colors like orange, pink, blue, red, and how much you can eat of what, right? It's not that there's bad foods, there's just less good foods, and then you're watching your portions, and then you're actively journaling as to why you're eating, what you're feeling. It's sort of like checking out your body and what you're really feeling emotionally, and what you're craving and why. Are you craving to be crunching on something? Or you want something mushy and comforting? You want something that reminds you of when you were a child? A memory food? What's going on in your brain that's making you hungry? Richard Simmons' Deal a Meal used to come with a journal where you wrote every day, what am I eating? And pick from these 6 cards. And they were lean proteins, fast carbs, slow carbs. He is the original Noom man. My honey, Richard Simmons. I loved him. He was the first one that got me up and moving. I used to be in a wheelchair and full-length braces from damage to my legs from meningitis. I had something called radiculonopathy, and it really was ridiculous. I couldn't lift my leg at all. And I had these full-size, they went all the way up to my thigh, and there was a lock on the side of them, and I had to unhook it to put my leg down, and it was just bad. And I had to wait for my body to have muscle memory left and right again, and I had to do a ton of physical therapy and occupational therapy. And I remember when I got better from that, and that was that I had a cane, and I had a wheelchair, and I had a brace. I know this is going to sound funny, you guys, but I honestly just, I threw them out. I threw the braces out. I really hung on to the cane for a while, so I was a little nervous to get rid of that. When I moved from my apartment in 1995, I threw the braces out. And they were custom-made braces, and I had been in them from 1991, 92. I don't know. I donated the wheelchair to the fire department, and I held on to the cane, because I still was dragging my leg every now and again. But when I threw out the cane, that's when I got full mobility back. So, these little things, and then looking back at what I had written, which was I want to get out of the braces, out of the wheelchair. And if I throw these away, God, will you give me strength in my legs? And I did. So it's really fun, if you've been one that keeps calendars or journals, to look back at your goals and always see, but then those little wish things that you were just like begging God about, or just writing about those little frustrations. You're like, God, make a way, change a person's heart, give them a better truth, have them see reality. My God, there was a time my kids and I were totally no relationship at all. My cousins had raised my kids, and when I got sick, my kids went to live with my cousin. And, there was the emotional aspect of this that I talked about, also being diagnosed MPDDID, but there was a lot of physical going on. I was diagnosed with a lot of stuff that was pretty heavy medically. And I didn't want my kids to see me in a wheelchair every day like that and sick. But I knew people were talking about more the mental health than the physical. I knew people were not willing to see my physical limitations. They were looking at the mental health, the post-traumatic stress, DID, MPD. And using that and scapegoating that, and it drove me insane. And literally everything that I did as a mother was just kind of taken away. And in strange ways, that comes full circle. And right now I'm also watching a situation where it's going a little crooked. And I have been praying about it, and I already know God is going to give clearance and truth and clarity as to what is really going on in this situation that I'm waiting on God to reveal to me. Because none of it makes sense. So, look back at what you wished from God and wrote to God, and your medical stuff, your mental health stuff, your spiritual stuff, family, where you wanted to live, how you wanted to move. Look back and you'll see. When people say, I don't think God really has anything to do with anything, I think people get mad at church and church people, and then they don't believe in God. Or they wonder, well, who's doing this pandemic? Who's doing it? Look back at what you said to God, and then be willing to see what the great things God actually accomplished in your life. Be willing to see that. So that's what I want to talk about today, is just quickly remind people to always, if it's diet, if it's how much water you drink. Another thing I remembered was I would fill up a water every day with apple cider vinegar. 2 of them. With 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. I saw it in my... It's like, holy moly, I used to put apple cider... Before it was popular, like 2006-07, I started putting 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in my water. And you can say, that's silly, you're drinking like salad dressing. It's delicious. It's delicious. A little apple cider vinegar in your water. You'll love it. All those things that, you're going to pay a fortune for, the goji things or whatever, just put your apple cider vinegar in your water. I even put it in my cat's water. And I also think it's what we believe. It's what we believe will work. And I always believed that when I prayed to God, and when I was grateful, and when I wrote a thing out and made a declaration to God, that God saw it. So when I would say, God, I know what happened. You know what happened. You saw it. You were here with me. You saw that go down. You heard what she said. You heard what I said. They can't twist that. God. I would challenge God. I would be like, God, be God. Be God. How dare you allow this to me? I would say that. I would be like Joshua, who wrestled God. I would be like, all night, hey, didn't you promise this? Well, then show me your God. Show me your God. And I would write these letters that would go on forever to God, every morning, every night, in the middle of the day. From everything, to my weight, to my health, to my blood pressure, to getting off medications, to walking, to getting out of a wheelchair, to the MPDDID that I didn't believe was the biggest problem in my life, but my body and my health. To my kids being made to fear me when that wasn't necessary. To my kids hearing all manner of crazy about me, which was not necessary. And now they're older, and we've had some good conversations about what they were being fed in their life and what I was thinking in my life. And a lot of that was through therapy. So what we allow if we allow a therapist to tell us, and I don't mean my therapist told me I was, so I was. I mean, we are suggestible at that point when we're weak and vulnerable. We believe what people say. And there comes a point when they're just there to help you accept what it is, but that isn't what it is. So continue to ask, is this really what it is? Continue to go back with God in your journal and look at the great things God did that you may have forgotten about whenever you need encouragement, and the strength you really do have when you include God in everything, from eating to sleeping to crazy stuff going on in your house, your neighbors being crazy, whatever it is. Ask God to reveal the truth to whoever needs to see it. Property managers, family, cousins, kids, an employer. You got something going on? Ask God to reveal the truth, because God is God, and God is the author of time, and time is the only thing that outs truth. God controls time and God's time. And here's what I love about God's time. It's always perfect. I could know the truth about a thing, you could know the truth about a thing, and we could go on and on about it, right? And nobody would believe it. But when it's God's perfect time and we say it, God makes the situation so undeniably true that nobody could say anything but, that's true. That is true. Wait for that moment with God. Don't rush it. Don't rush it. Wait on God and keep bugging God, and then wait and listen. But sometimes you'll get answers from God that will break your heart. And ask God, what would you have me to do with this knowledge? Now, sometimes our hearts will just be bruised and sore and just shattered with what we know to be true. And we have to ask God, how do I move forward now? So I found all of that in my journals, prayer journals. I have all the way back to, I went into my little handy dandy hope chest. And I have a whole little tale about this hope chest. This is my mother's hope chest. And I grew up with it. And with what I'll share someday about that hope chest, you would think, why would you have that hope chest in your home? I made peace with it. So, and it's kind of funny that something that is called a hope chest, I was so terrified of, and yet now I'm at peace with, and all of my journals of truth were in there, and all of my prayers. So that's all I wanted to say today. Have a great day. Use your journals, use your journals, use your journals. Write. Do free flow. Anything that comes to your mind. Dreams. Wake up in the middle of the night. Got a feeling. Got a fear. Anything. Write it down. Write it down. Food. It's like you keep a food journal of what you're allergic to. Keep a food journal of what you're eating. When you're dropping a pound a day and suddenly you don't know why, go look back 3 days. Always 3 days. It's always what you did in the last 3 days. Our bodies are circular. They run in 3 and 7 and 21. So whatever you ate the last 3 days, you'll see on a scale, or you'll feel bloated from today. And then it's always give yourself the 3 days. So and always look back at your journals and just thank God for how God showed up and showed out. Take care. Have an awesome day. I'm going to go drain my potatoes and my green beans and turn this to warm any second. I'm going to do that right now. And now it's on warm, and I'm going to make that 1 hour. Okay, so it's going to be warming for an hour, and I can go ahead and scoop it out and let it cool down before I put it in the freezer for batch cooking. And I'm going to eat some green beans and potatoes for my dinner. Not the matzo crackers today. Alright, have a blessed day everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.